Welcome everybody, Steve here. Got a different project on the go today. If you're familiar with this is a tailstock off of an older Delta lathe, wood lathe. Now the back end has broke off. So basically we got a handle here on the back, and when you spin this is what moves this in and out. But it's broken, we need to repair it. Old Delta parts just don't exist anymore, so you've got to get creative. Don't let this stop you, you know. Don't go out and buy a new one. This is a real simple fix here. So basically what we have to do is we've got to create another shaft coming out of here. So this can go in. And there's a slot here. Basically you use a roll pin. I haven't got it here right now. And that's what's going to keep it from, or hold it so that it can just keep turning it. If that makes sense. We got a spot here for a set screw. That helps a little bit. You don't have to, you can put a bolt on the end here if you really want to, but we're going to use a bolt, and that's going to be our new shaft. So this one, I'm not really too sure where this handle come from, but this one here is 3/8 and this is 1/2 inch. So whether or not it came down, I'm not too sure. Those parts are not around anymore. But what we're going to do is there's a hole in here. I'm going to cut the end off here, the head off the bolt. Slide that in there. That's going to be our new shaft. If that makes sense. Should be pretty simple. Now, if you're not aware, the tailstock, basically all it is just a screw inside this piece here, and it is left-handed thread. So when you turn it this way, it pushes it out. And when you go the other way, it goes in. And that's it. You can't get any simpler than that. Really, really can't. Now on the bigger tailstock, so you know, if you got one of the bigger lathes, sometimes you have a little 1/4 inch rod poker, and you know, when you have your, you know, this is a tapered end on this side, so when you want that out, you just took and you just tapped it out. Well, this one here, the bolt's long enough that when you've got your taper in there, you just go back all the way and it just kind of pops out. So we don't have to worry about the hole, even though it's in there. Don't have to worry about it. Alright. Let's take this off. Now, there's a little bit of damage in here, and I don't know, it seems a little bit weird, but we're just going to clean this all up. We may have to run a 3/8 drill bit in here so that this bolt will fit in there. I'm not really too sure. But anyway, going to clean that up, clean up the face here, and we'll get this thing working. Okay. Just going to do a little bit of a close-up here for you guys. So this is the piece here that we want to put the shaft on so that this can go on and we can spin this. Now there's just a little ridge right on the inside, so I'm just going to use my die grinder here and clean this up in the inside, and hopefully that's going to be big enough for 3/8. Won't know until we get her done. Alright, I'm going in with the drill bit. I don't have to go in too far. That might just do it. Got a plan. Just gonna face this off with the grinder. I gotta find it first. There we are. Now I'm going to be welding right down in here, so I want to get all the galvanize off. Okay, that looks like it's going to work. Now, we have to know where to put our roll pin here. And anywhere in here works, because there's a little bit of a slot. Oop, a little bit of a slot right there. So a roll pin can be anywhere in there. And so if we're about, I had a felt marker here. Oh, gotta go on the search. If we're even about 1/4 of an inch above where it is. Right about there, I think we'd be good. Okay, so we got to drill that hole now. And this particular roll pin, it's on the floor now. 1/8 inch, so we need an 1/8 inch hole right there. Go until you line it up. Make sure, just gonna stick my head in the way. That looks pretty good. this isn't, you know, we're not working on the space shuttle here, but sometimes I like to pretend I am. That way you get things just as good as you can get them. So we want things pretty straight here. All right, I lost my hammer. There we are. I think I'm going to grind this shoulder down just a little bit more, right down to where it originally was. Okay, all I need really is just a couple good tacks on that. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to draw a line around where my weld would be. And then I can take the grinder, zip cut, just put a little groove in there so you got somewhere to put your, for your weld to go. That space shuttle mentality. Now you want this to be as straight as you possibly can. Now this one here kind of leans a little bit this way, like away from you. So I'm going to put my tack right here, and that should pull it a little straighter. If you're straight up and down, put the tack in there, you might be out of crooked. So, now, one of the big mistakes people do is, you know, like this looks like little stuff here, but it's not. Crank your welder up, make sure it's good and hot, or else you won't get the penetration and you'll be unhappy. Burning it down a little closer. Now we can just do a little adjusting. Looks pretty square. Put another tack on it, see where we're at. Oh, that looks really good. Once you're happy with that, weld her up. Okay, we'll let that cool, and then we're going to grind this down here a little bit so that that'll actually go in a bit more. And another thing you could do is you could taper this just a little bit with a drill bit. We'll see how the grinder works out. Now if you had a lathe, you could cut that and smooth that right out perfect, but we're just going to use a grinder today. I think that's going to work great. We can take the file and file a little square in here. Might just do that. Something you don't really have to do. It works right now. Huh. Well, I would do that if I had a square file. Don't have one with me. It must be in my truck. Grinding disc is always a little rounded off at the end, so your file will straighten that out a little bit. That fits perfect. Now we have some options here. We can run a little, because we have a bolt, we could put a nut on the end here. I think I'll cut this off a little shorter than what it should be. And then could put a nut there, but I like the idea of just having a set screw. Bam, right there. Maybe both. Perfect. I like it. We're going to take this opportunity here just to clean up any rough edges on the threads. That way you can use your thread file that you've had for 20 years and have never used it. Make sure you get the right thread count, and basically what you do is just look down at, make sure it fits perfect. Good to go. Alright, let's see how she works. Pretty hard to use a thread chaser on this. There's not very many left-handed thread chasers out there. At least not in my cupboard. Yeah, we're a little tight there, and we'll see if we can get that in better. And we just had one little snug spot. She works really, really good now. All the way to the end. Alright, we got to put in our roll pin here. If I haven't lost it. Here it is. So don't be putting your roll pin in right now, because you're not going to be able to get it through. Looks pretty even. I'll go grab a nut. Be right back. And just like that, tailstock is fixed. So if we have this in our lock, works perfect. Beautiful. Really happy with that. Now if we go too far, that goes in all the way. If you go too far, then you'll just unthread this. But just don't do that. Now it's a little bit sloppy. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You could build that up with a couple of big thrust washers if you really wanted to. But for what this does, it's going to be perfect. So don't look for an excuse to buy a new tool, look for an excuse to fix your old one. This was easy. You can do it. So I did go and make a thrust washer. Looking at it, I didn't want it really rubbing on the cast. So just take a 3/4 inch. This one here was a 5/8. I just took the die grinder, just give it a little bit of a one shot, and it fits really good. Made it a little smaller as you saw with the grinder. And just like that. There, now it won't rub up against the cast. There, that's a quality fix. Houston would be proud of that one.